Stu Journalism and the New Brunswick Beacon present the Basement Files.
Hi, and welcome to this week's edition of the Basement Files. I'm Vanessa Cormier.
And I'm Tony Peter Paul. It's a cold winter's day today, so we've decided to move indoors to UNB's greenhouse.
And our top stories are:
complaints against the Fredericton Police Force,
closing of the Lady Beaverbrook rink,
St. Thomas University turns off the caps. The Fredericton Police Force is facing scrutiny. They had 63 reports filed against them in the 2010-2011 fiscal year. This is more than any other police force in the province. Many citizens are worried after hearing this. Justin Marshall has more.
The annual report of the New Brunswick Police Commission is out, and the Fredericton Police Force took some heat. The police force had more complaints than any other in the province. The Commission's 2010-2011 report says that out of the 129 allegations, 63 complaints were for the Fredericton Police Force. This was more than twice as many as the police in Miramichi and St. John. This has made some people think twice about trusting the police force.
Do you trust the Fredericton Police Force?
From what I hear, not exactly. No, I don't.
Not all feel this way, but the heavy number of complaints is making them rethink their decision.
Do you trust the Fredericton Police Force?
I don't have a lot of interaction, but I would say that I guess I kind of have to. Like, it's not really my control, but I would like to say that I do, but the 63 complaints kind of pushes me towards the other end.
Fredericton City Councillor Eric McGarity believes that a lot of the complaints the police force receives are not always valid.
Anybody can make a complaint. I mean, somebody can make 200 complaints, but at the end of the day, how many of those are truly true complaints?
Fredericton Police Chief Barry McKnight says he takes all complaints they receive very seriously.
In some of our cases, we find that the police officer could have done a better job. And then those are the cases where we may find that the allegation is sustained, and we try to take some remedial action with the officer to make sure that it doesn't happen again.
McKnight says Fredericton officers are very professional, and even though there were a high number of complaints, only 5 were found to be valid. The chief also spoke highly on the 2011 Citizen Attitude Survey. It showed that close to 90% of Fredericton residents were satisfied or somewhat satisfied with the job done by the police force. For Stu Journalism, I'm Justin Marshall.
Students at the St. Thomas University are turning off the taps. 6 university residents are taking part in the Water Conservation Act. The competition will run until March 2nd. We go to Bridget Yard for more on the story.
The Water Conservation Challenge is the first of its kind for St. Thomas University. St. Thomas residences have been vying for the top spot since January 30th. I caught up with Kyla Tanner, who had the idea for the Conservation Challenge.
The challenge pits the residences against each other. The goal is to be the house that conserves the most water. Kyla Tanner is the Student Union Sustainable Living Coordinator. She introduced the initiative after taking part in a similar experience for an environmental studies class.
It's a total of 5 weeks for the competition because it takes about 30 days to form a habit, and the whole point of the challenge is to have students change their behavior.
Students will need to team together to turn off the taps to claim bragging rights for their residents and a $500 cash prize. Second place will receive $250. As Canadians, we use a lot of water each day. It averages out to about 700 pounds of water per person. This means our country consumes more water per capita than any other country aside from the United States. The challenge is a positive step for St. Thomas and the Fredericton community, according to residence manager Kelly Hogg.
We thought it was something that would be fantastic to get students involved in, and also get them a little bit more aware about environmental initiatives in this Fredericton community and also more globally.
Students have been taking to the internet to spread the word and share tips on water conservation. The challenge even has a blog where competitors can learn more and track their progress.
The winner will have to turn off the tap to win the ultimate cash prize of $500 for their house. The winner will be announced March 2nd. For Stu Journalism, I'm Bridget Yard.
The Windsor Street houses, the Vanier Hall, and Rigby conserved the most water this week.
The St. Thomas community and hockey fans have bid farewell to the legendary Lady Beaverbrook rink. The Tommy's new rink, the Grant Harvey Center, is a state-of-the-art facility. Players and fans are excited for the first official puck drop. Tony Peter Paul has a story.
It was a full house Friday night as Tommy fans watched their team play as the last game in the Lady Beaverbrook rink. The rink has been home for the Tommies and has been a cornerstone in the local hockey community. The team will be moving to the new Grant Harvey facility, which is still under construction. The new building was named after former players Buster Harvey and Danny Grant, and will have 2 ice surfaces for the Tommies to play and practice on. It will certainly be a change of scenery for the team, but for the many fans there will never be a better place to watch hockey than in the Lady Beaverbrook.
But I don't think you'll ever find a place, a better place to watch a hockey game from, nor a better place than Rum Row to watch it from.
St. Thomas University honored the rink's final game night during its annual athletics reception with a tribute from alumni and former players. The memories of the good old days were many in the packed hall.
It was always good when we played UNB. The games were always close and we didn't know who was going to win until the game was over. And it was that way for years while I was there.
The Tommies fought a hard battle, but were overtaken 4-3 in overtime by the University of Moncton. Although their last match at the Lady Beaverbrook rink was a loss, the memories of good times in their old home rink will be remembered. For Stu Journalism, I'm Tony Peter Paul. After a 2 years hiatus, the Clarny Cup hockey tournament has moved to Fredericton. Poor ice conditions forced organizers to move from Clarny Lake to Kingswood. Matt Tincombe is on location with more details.
Yes, I'm here at Kingswood for this year's edition of the Clarny Cup, one of New Brunswick's most popular pond hockey tournaments. After 2 years of poor ice conditions, tournament organizers decided it was time for a change of surface. John Collins, chairman of the Fredericton North Rotary Club, initiated the change.
It was moved because Brian Johnson and Bill Johnson. Bill's our club president, and Brian is his brother who owns Kingswood, came to us and said, because there's no running water in this pond here, that it's probably more able to freeze.
For Bill Johnson, changing the tournament's location was the only way to revive the event.
So we actually decided that, hey, after 2 years we weren't going to take this any further. And I was talking to Brian, of course, at Kingswood, and he said, look, we got 21 inches of ice when we canceled last year, and he said we could probably do this out here. So we came out, talked to him, looked at it, and we said, well, it's going to be a little bit smaller venue, but heck, it's such a great event. It's such a good event for the community.
The tournament has 32 teams in the competitive division, and there will be a youth event the following weekend. Numerous volunteers signed up, and fans filtered in and out as the day went by. However, response to the event wasn't as strong as Collins had hoped.
I think because we canceled, our numbers are down, but hopefully it'll continue to go well this weekend, and next year it'll be bigger again. So.
But for some players, the chance to chase the Clarny Cup is all they need, no matter their location. Adam Lanto was one of those guys. His team drew 20-20 in their game, but for him, it's just about being with friends.
Well, a few of the guys here, we've been doing it for quite a few years, probably 4 or 5 years, so it's just kind of become a tradition.
Next year's location for the tournament has yet to be decided. Kingswood is the leading option, but a decision will be made in the coming months. For Stu Journalism, I'm Matt Tidcombe.
A recent report states that over half of Canadians say they were bullied as youth. This is no surprise to one Fredericton mother who's finally coming out with her daughter's story. The woman's daughter, who attended Fredericton High School 3 years ago, was maliciously bullied. At one point, the young girl was padlocked to a locker. In hopes to change this, the mother hired a bodyguard to escort her daughter to and from classes. When the school's administration wouldn't allow it, she transferred to another school. Now, 3 years later, the mother is sharing her daughter's story in hopes for a drastic change. Here's a look at what's coming up in the weeks ahead on the Basement Files.
I'm Whitney Nielsen. It takes determination and willpower to drastically change your diet. But grocery shopping might just be the hardest part.
I have to go to like a health food store like Aura or True Food Organics.
Do Fredericton's chain supermarkets leave something to be desired? Learn about the challenges of alternative diets in the weeks ahead on the Basement Files.
An elderly couple in Moncton are facing eviction notices because of their pets. Some people are calling into question New Brunswick's housing laws. Here in Fredericton, finding dog-friendly apartments can be difficult. Samantha Both has the story.
This is Tony. She's 2 years old. Her favorite toy is her hairbrush. Owner Miranda Hatfield says dogs are an important part of the family.
We lost a dog last year, New Year's Day, and he died of kidney failure. And it was really sad. It was like losing a little child.
But not everyone feels the same way about dogs. Miranda lives here in a small, cramped apartment. She's moving at the end of the month, but it took months of looking and settling on a north side location to find a place that would let her keep Tony. Most places would accept a cat, but not a dog. Hatfield wishes landlords would at least give dogs a chance.
Can you at least meet her? Just, for a little bit, see how she acts, see what she looks like, how big she is, at least give her a chance and just instead of just saying no.
She says people that don't train their dogs properly make it harder for well-trained dogs to find a home.
A lot of people get dogs like, oh yay, it's a dog. But then they just kind of, oh, whatever, it's just going to do its thing by itself. A lot of people don't realize that you have to actually spend time with your animal in order for it to do things you want it to do. And a lot of people don't do that.
Recently, calls have been made to change the pet policies in social housing in the province. New Brunswick's Social Development Department is threatening to evict seniors living in Moncton's Lions Towers if they don't give up their pets. Some people are saying this isn't right. Pets have been found to help reduce symptoms of tension, anxiety, depression, and feelings of isolation. Yet it's a challenge to find a place for them to live, whether in social housing or not. In Ontario, the Residential Tenancies Act prohibits discrimination based on pets and renders any provision in a lease preventing pets void. Some are saying New Brunswick should have a similar law. For Stu Journalism, I'm Samantha Both.
Project-based learning is a way of learning foreign to most classrooms, but not at Morel Regional High School. For more than 2 years, senior students have been introduced to a new way of learning where marks and deadlines are not the focus. Kara Cousins visited the school and has more.
Also, it wouldn't be a bad idea to be reading those chapters. There's a lot of information in the chapters that help clarify everything.
Mr. Kelly's Global Issues class is one of the only classes in PEI using project-based learning, or PBL. PBL is not traditional teacher-led learning. Students are encouraged to use their creative thinking skills to find solutions to questions and problems.
We have an overarching question where the students were asked to help someone or some organization or some place in some way. The choice was up to them, who they wanted to help and how they wanted to help them.
The students were divided into 9 groups, each one supporting a different organization. They are responsible to help the organization they chose by volunteering, raising awareness, or fundraising. One group raised money for the Breast Cancer Society of PEI by hosting a school dance. Another group hosted a 30-hour famine. Students limited their eating for 30 hours and raised money to fight world hunger. And Jill and Avery worked with other classmates to raise money for the PEI Humane Society.
It actually feels like we're making a difference to the animals and the people that work at the Humane Society.
Kind of teaches you to be a better person, and that not to be so self-absorbed, because we're teenagers, don't really think about much else. But this has, I think, helped a lot of people just to know that we can make a difference, even if we're so young.
Over the past 2 months, the class has raised more than $2,000 collectively for their projects. They write reports outlining their learning and project updates to Mr. Kelly, who offers feedback and an evaluation.
Learning the value in helping someone else out, and I think it's a great way, to teach kids to be active in their community, to be active in the world around them, and I would totally support it for other schools.
The project-based learning program here at Morel Regional High School is still in the early stages of being developed, but already staff and students are seeing the positive impacts that it's having both here in the community and also abroad. Staff and students hope that other schools will follow their lead and also start similar programs. For Stu Journalism, I'm Kara Cousins.
The chairman of the Canadian Truth and Reconciliation Board has recently said acts of genocide were committed when more than 100,000 Aboriginal children were taken out of their homes and placed in residential schools. The United Nations definition of genocide states the removal of children based on race and then placing them in another race to indoctrinate them is considered an act of genocide. The chairman also stated that Canada has been careful to ensure the residential school policy does not get caught up in the UN definition. A Truth and Reconciliation Commission was established to help more compensation between the government and survivors of the residential schools. More than 25,000 statements from the survivors have been heard. The Commission will soon release a report on what is heard so far.
Are you an upper year student looking to be part of the workforce soon? Then perhaps you should consider an unpaid internship opportunity. Many are saying these experiences are very valuable. Mark Logie has more.
Meet Justin Cook. He's a third-year journalism student from St. Thomas and an avid fan of music. He's combining his interest in writing and his love for music by writing for a Halifax-based publication called Arts East Magazine.
That GPA's not getting us a job, you know? You need a portfolio, I guess. You need experience. You need to show I've met deadlines, I've wrote articles, I know what I'm doing.
While he's not getting paid for his work, Justin says that by writing for Arts East, he's taking critical steps towards making a name for himself.
I think they're crucial for us, because opportunities like this is what sets you apart from the guy beside you. If you don't do anything besides your schoolwork, that doesn't really tell potential employers anything about you or your ability.
This is Mike Hache. He's a student at the Center for Arts and Technology here in Fredericton. His courses keep him pretty busy, and he spends long days learning about graphic design, flash, animation, and computer skills. On top of that, Mike is now working as an intern for a local graphic design firm called Orange Sprocket.
Already it's taught me a ton of stuff just about a real world environment in sort of the industry that I want to go into.
Mike's 2-month internship may not earn him any money yet, but it puts him at the top of the pile as far as job offers are concerned.
It's a foot in the door into the industry, and I'm going to get to meet a lot of people. I'm going to get to make, impressions on a very prominent firm in Fredericton.
After Mike's internship ends, he'll likely be offered a paying job with Orange Sprocket, putting him many steps ahead of his competition. For Stu Journalism, I'm Mark Logie.
Freedom Waves to Gaza united 27 activists from 9 countries, and Canada was among them. They set out in November to deliver humanitarian aid to the Palestinian people in Gaza by ship. Canadian scholar and activist David Heap recently spoke during a presentation at the University of New Brunswick. Frank Molly attended the presentation and has the details.
On November 2, 2011, Canadian and Irish vessels the Tahir and Sishu set out from Turkey with medical supplies to challenge the naval blockade of the Palestinian territory of Gaza. David Heap, a linguistics professor at the University of Western Ontario, presented a first-hand account of their capture at sea by Israeli soldiers before a crowd at UNB's Carleton Hall. A year and a half ago, a similar attempt ended badly, drawing widespread international condemnation, known as the Gaza Flotilla Raid. But on this day, their journey marked the 11th time international activists have tried to deliver humanitarian aid through the Israeli blockade, a blockade they consider to be illegal. The campaign was both a political and humanitarian one. With the help of the Canadian civil society and private donations, the campaign raised over $300,000. Funds were used to purchase a vessel and medical supplies for the people of Gaza. Both vessels were intercepted by Israeli forces, and the activists were detained and subsequently deported, while their boats and medical supplies were seized. The Canadian boat Tahir has yet to be returned. Heap says the Canadian Boat to Gaza campaign will continue to monitor the region through collaborations with the International Solidarity Movement, who have people on the ground in Gaza.
So we're in touch with the International Solidarity Movement, which has people on the ground in Gaza, and with our civil society partners. So, student organizations, faculty associations like mine, of academics, trade union organizations, women's federations, agriculturalists, the fishermen's organizations. We're in touch with Palestinian NGOs in Gaza on a permanent basis. So we know about the situation. We know that, despite some changes with the blockade, it's fundamentally the problem that they have of lack of freedom of movement continues.
Together, they are calling on the Canadian government to take action in accordance with international law and assist them in the recovery of the boat for the Palestinian people of Gaza. For Stu Journalism, I'm Frank Molly.
Thanks for watching this edition of Basement Files.
We'll have another episode ready for you in another couple weeks.